having a good week and enjoying the very changeable weather that we've had recently. Spring seems to be coming, but hopefully there are good times awaiting us in the future. But I thought it's a chance to give a bit of an update. It's been nearly a year since the pandemic really sort of hit, certainly within the UK, and really obviously has impacted what we've been able to do as a church very much for the past year. And obviously the news has seemed a lot more positive generally over the last few weeks with the rollout of a vaccine and possible easing of restrictions and social distancing measures. So we're not entirely sure how it's going to look over the next few months. The various governments have set out their different roadmaps, and you might wonder, well, how does this impact the church? Well, the brief answer to that is at the moment we don't really know. There is talk that social distancing may end around about June sometime. I think they're giving a date in England, not too sure in Wales, but possible dates around then. We don't quite know whether that will materialise, and if it does, what it means for church, we're not entirely sure at the moment. We've been restricted in many ways. We weren't able to meet for a long period of time, and since we've been able to reopen in September, we've obviously, in order to be COVID secure, we've had to put a lot of things in place for social distancing measures. So it's not felt anything like what we would normally, or what many of us would be used to in church. Things like singing, which hasn't been allowed in church for a while. And again, we're not entirely sure when those things will change. So it's important just to update, because you probably hear a lot on the news and wonder how it impacts on us. We obviously will wait for further updates that we receive from the government and from Baptist Together. And in the coming months, we hope that something we'll be able to do more things. But in the short term, we're not too sure. We're just sort of keeping with things as they've been, which is at the moment, we've had a morning service at 10:30, and then once a month an afternoon service at 4 o'clock. Obviously, with in order to comply with the social distancing that we need to, it has meant we've had to restrict the number we could potentially fit in the church for a service. As many of you know, we haven't come close to reaching that capacity at any stage, for a variety of reasons. And once again, it's important to say that with everything that's gone on, certainly in the past year, this has impacted people in very different ways. People with education or their employment, or people all age groups. Some have had their health much more affected by it. Some have lost loved ones as a result of what's been going on with the pandemic. So everyone has been affected in different ways, and I think it's a reminder once again we have to be compassionate and understanding with one another. For some, they are very keen to come into fellowship and to be in church, and some perhaps feel more reluctant. And I think it's important that everyone hears the message that wherever you stand on that, it's okay. We understand as a leadership team, nobody should be put under any pressure to do or not do anything, and that's very important to be clear on once again. So things have been very different, and obviously, as you're aware, we're coming up to Easter as well. Easter, such an important part of our faith, remembering what Jesus did for us, and why we're able to be here and able to come back to God, to have that relationship with God because of what Jesus achieved on the cross. It's a very special time for us. Last year, Easter was at the beginning of April, as it will be. I think it's the 12th of April, something like that last year. And this year it's a little bit earlier. I think it's right at the beginning of April. Last year we weren't able to meet at all. We had some things online over Easter. So you may well have been asking the question or wondering to yourself, what will things look like this year at Easter, that we are able to meet, but under obviously very different circumstances and very different restrictions to what we would have faced before. So as a bit of a heads up for what's going to be coming up over Easter, on Palm Sunday, the service will probably be more sort of family orientated service, which it will be very different to previous Palm Sunday services we have, and again it needs to comply and be COVID secure as well. So all of that will be in place, a bit similar to what we had the weekend before Christmas, as you may well remember, or have seen some of it online there on the week before Christmas. And that's Palm Sunday, which is the 28th of March. During the week leading up to Easter, Sarah is setting up an Easter trail, which will help particularly children around the area follow the Easter story. Gives them access to different YouTube clips and things, and Sarah will be sharing a little bit about that coming up in a couple of weeks' time, about exactly how that works. So just a heads up, certainly for children and any adults that want to take part in that as well. Also, in the week leading up to Easter, we're going to have a series of very short YouTube videos where different members of the fellowship will be taking part and telling parts of the story leading up to Good Friday and Easter Sunday. So that's in the week leading up to Easter. So again, that will be going on YouTube. Just a very short clip each day, telling the story as we lead up towards that. We'll also be having a prayer space opening in the church. Again, one which is COVID secure and complies with all the social distancing required, which will be open at different times. We'll obviously let you know about that nearer the time if people would like to be able to come to that and to be able to pray and give ourselves a bit of a prayer focus. Of course, we can pray anywhere, as we know, but it's an opportunity to come in and look at some things to have a prayer focus on and be praying for Easter as well. So there's another option of something we can do and are able to do over Easter. Now, Good Friday, traditionally, certainly before last year, we weren't able to meet. We'd have a morning service at 7:30 where we'd have communion, and then later on in the evening there'll be an evening service where the choir quite often would sing, and there'd be different readings and a word brought to us then. Looking at things for this year, obviously the current numbers that have been attending obviously are lower than what we'd have previously had, which is understandable in the circumstances. And really, when we take all that into account and consider that when there's a short time between services, a lot of the chairs need to be cleaned and things like that. And actually, with the numbers we're getting at the moment, it does make sense this year to actually have one service on Good Friday, which will be at 6 o'clock. It's a sort of combination of the two services, really, because we obviously won't be able to have the choir sing. So at that service on Good Friday, there will be communion as well, and there'll be different readings and a really reflective type of service for Good Friday. So there will be communion available at that, and it should be going on Zoom as well, which will also be uploaded to YouTube later on. So we've been quite conscious of, certainly over the last few months, to enable people to who are not actually coming into the church building to still take part, to still join in, whether it's on Zoom or to see it on YouTube later on. So again, all of that will be available for Good Friday. Easter Sunday, typically we would have the early morning communion at 9:15, and then our morning service followed by our evening service. Obviously this year there's a slightly different focus to Easter services, in the sense that usually we would expect to have a lot of visitors coming to those services. Realistically, that's not going to be the case this year, and so as a slight change, again considering numbers and the circumstances, our morning service on Easter Sunday, which is I think the 4th of April, we will be having communion in our morning service at 10:30. So the service will be at the same time as we have been having. We will have communion at our Easter Sunday morning service, and where we've been having a monthly afternoon service, we'll be having that on April the 4th. So that obviously we understand for a number of people find it very difficult to come in the morning for various reasons. So we've been able to have that provision. Obviously resources are a lot more limited than they were in the past, but we feel it's important to enable people have that extra opportunity to come on Easter Sunday as well. So that's the plan with regard to the Easter weekend. And just a reminder on that, really, these are very different circumstances. So this is very much taken in isolation. Yes, it is different to previous years, and we accept there's some degree of compromise within all of that, but we do feel the circumstances and the situation mean we have to obviously have a look at what we're doing with that. So obviously it is taken very much in isolation compared to previous years, rather than looking at something we're doing long term in terms of that. Obviously all things are constantly being reviewed. And in terms of what we're doing with the services, again, that remains under constant review, looking at the circumstances, the restrictions, and obviously responding to the numbers we have attending as well, in order to give the opportunity for everyone to be involved, to share in fellowship and share in the word as well. To update you on one other thing, you will have seen the different restrictions changing, different roadmap that's been set out by governments. From the end of March, it looks as if outdoor sports, grassroots football and things can start up again. Obviously, I was a keen footballer. I'd love to get back to it, but there's going to be a different match that I'll be playing in, or a few people I know will be playing in. Hopefully on the 16th of April, our outdoor 7-a-side match is a sort of belated stag do, really. But it's my former 5-a-side team are getting back together for this one-off appearance, and a team headed up by my brother. Well, sort of anyway. The teams, the Nick Tutt All Stars, will be taking part as well, as the teams will play against each other in that game. The reason I sort of talk to you about it is I'd like to use it as an opportunity to raise money in that particular game. There'll be a chance to sponsor goals that are being scored and other sponsorship opportunities for that. And the money that's raised from that, I would like to split between two organisations, really. Out of the Ashes Ministries, which, as you know, Peter has been very involved with, so to support that. So half the money that's raised will go to that, and the other half to Vision of Hope, which obviously as a church we've been involved with over a number of years. Thinking about them visiting our services and the work that's done with those lads there with the group. And bear in mind, obviously, they've been very restricted as to what they can do over the last year or so. So it's good to be able to support those two organisations there through that. So that'll be on the 16th of April. I'll say a little bit more about it. It'll be happening down in Portsmouth. Obviously, the majority of the players will be able to join in for that. And obviously, my brother being involved in one team and me and the other, we've named a trophy for that game, which is this trophy here, the Keith Tutt Trophy, named in honour of our late grandfather. So one of us will get to take that home. Yes, obviously a real influence on both of us in our faith. So we're very pleased to be able to do that and get a bit of exercise in as well and support these organisations. So just something positive to look forward to. We really do appreciate your prayers and support of the church over the past year particularly. It's been very challenging for the leadership team, lots of difficult decisions to be made, and constantly changing regulations, and with everyone in a slightly different place with that, quite understandably. So it has been a challenge, but we really appreciate your prayers and support, and we look forward to better days. We keep listening and just keep praying that the Lord will guide us as we move forward. So I hope you have a really blessed week. I look forward to all being able to see all of you very soon. God bless.